the courteousness and politeness. It is very essential. Trade and commerce depends on the relationship, and hence courteousness is a must. Yeah, that is the essential point of the business tactics. The next is it gives a reader a complete and accurate details. It gives complete and accurate details means the memorandum that is drafted, that is received, should contain should be complete. Should be complete in the sense that it should have accuracy and in details. The complete entire detail should be very clear. The detail should give all the information correctly, and that should not leave any questions or doubt in the mind. And finally, the memorandum should conclude, means it should end appropriately. It should have a suitable ending. I mean, an ending in the sense that it should conclude, it should come to an end with a safe landing. That is also a must. If you keep these points in mind, that is the purpose, that is effectiveness, and we can say the simpleness and appropriateness, courteousness, as well as accuracy and completeness, and the conclusion. If all these points are kept into mind, one can draft the memo in a very effective manner, as well as in a worth noting way. Next point is, I would like to discuss that which are the points we should avoid while drafting a memo. Which are the points that we should remove from our mind when we are drafting a memo, and that should be very much essential, that it should be kept in mind there. For example, it is to say we should not be rude, blunt, or thoughtless when we are drafting a memo. That means memos should be written the opposite, courteous. It should be courteous, it should be polite, and as it should not be, the memo should not be rude. It cannot be in an offensive language. The language should not hurt the reader or the receiver in one form or the other. We can say the second point is never send memos that has typos, misspelled words, or grammatical errors. The memos that you draft should be checked not only twice, thrice, even 4 times or 5 times before you send it. It should not have any typographical errors. At the same time, the words should not be misspelled. At the same time, it should not be grammatical. We should not find any grammatical errors in the drafting of the errors. As I said once again before I started, that the writing of memorandum should be assigned to such persons who are very confident or very proficient in the use of English language. Next point is, we should not leave out necessary details causing people to have a follow-up with questions. We should be so explicit. It means that we should be very explicit in our statements. We should be very explicit in our conveying of the message. We should be very explicit in our passing of our information to the other. That should not leave any doubt, any questions, any confusion in the mind of the recipient after reading the memo. Never use a closing line or a signature in a memo. Remember that the memo never contains a closing line. The memo never contains a signature. The signature is never to be put in a memo. These are the things that should keep in mind or should avoid. A sample of the memo is here. But before I go for this sample, I'll just give you another sample, or otherwise you can go for this sample itself. See, first the two. That means the sample memo is addressed to all the employees, and it is from Shreyans Shah, General Manager. For example, this is an example only. Date June 21, 2014, and the subject is Wide Area Telephone Service Lines. Now, before I read this again, as I said, this memo or sample memo can be again structured. That has to be kept in mind, that into 3 parts. The first is the background or the information. For example, to from date. To from date is the background and the general information. Subject is the main point, and the first paragraph, that is to say WAT, the subject is Wide Area Telephone Service Lines. This is the subject. Now, what does it talk about? We can talk about, for example, it says that WATS lines were installed 3 years ago. That is the secondary information. The first is the background introduction. Subject is the main information, and the secondary information is this first paragraph. What lines were installed 3 years ago to give all employees easier telephone access to our customers and suppliers in other parts of the country. In fact, our company's growth rate has increased since then, and we attribute at least part of that growth to the new telephone system. As sales have increased, so have our telephone bills. But over the past few months, those bills have been growing faster than sales. It seems that a few people have been using the long distance lines to make personal calls. Such misuse of the wireless lines reduces our profits, and thus the amount available for profit sharing by all employees and ties up and it ties up lines that are needed for business calls. It talks about a problem, and the last paragraph, that is action. That is, please do your part to keep our company profitable and healthy. This is the action suggested and to be taken. If you absolutely must make a personal long distance call during the business hours, please charge it to your home phone. That means if you are willing to make long distance calls, don't go opt for the phone calls or don't use the phone calls of the company, but just charge it with your phone. That means you should use your own phone to make a long distance call. You cannot bring it to the company's name, and in the company's phone you can call it. So that is the action suggested and should be implemented. Your colleagues will appreciate your consideration. It is very sweetly, courteously stated with the suggestion that your colleagues, if you follow the action, if you follow the suggestion, if you follow the instruction, then all the colleagues will appreciate your consideration. If you consider this, your colleagues will appreciate it. So this is the action to be taken. I'll go for one more announcement of the memo, and then we'll switch over to the resolution. See, I have made it very clear that this is an announcement of memo. This is an announcement of memo. Now here also we can see that the first part, memorandum, is there, and that is introduction or background. It's very clearly stated over here, introduction. And in introduction, what comes, what are the points included in the introduction? That is two, that is, it is addressed to all the staff, and from it is Elaine Thomas, administrator officer. Third, it is fourth date, that is the date is mentioned over there, that is 14th June 2014. And then comes the main point. The main point is the subject, because the subject should tell what it is about and what you are going to talk about in the memo. And the subject is operating instructions for new copying machine. That means how to operate the copying machines, and for that the instructions are drafted in that memo. And the secondary information comes here is that a new photocopier has been installed in the general office. It is stated all staff are welcome to use it. That is the secondary information. Again, it carries to ensure the copier survival. It is important to keep the following procedures in mind. That is, for the safety and the maintenance of the photocopier machine, certain instructions have to be followed. That is what it is stated over here. And it is called use the machine for no longer than 30 minutes at a time, and after use allow the machine to cool for at least 5 minutes. That is the instruction. That is also secondary information. And action that is to be taken or suggested is make sure the switch is turned off after the use. That shows the action, suggested action to be taken by the reader. Please speak to me if you have any questions about the machine. Further, he also instructs, or he also makes a mention over there that if there is any mistakes, or if they have any confusions, or if there are any problems or any issues related to the machine, feel free to talk to the officer there. So this is what it is about. You can find another memorandum also here. It is authorization memorandum, which is by, again you see background introduction is there. It is a Snehal, it is addressed to Snehal Butt. It is from Alex Matthew, and it is dated on 12th May of 2002. And the main point, or the subject is mentioned over here, is purchase of accounting computing packages. The secondary information is there titled, and you can find over here that your findings of our existing computer packages identified inadequacies. Your proposals indicated 2 new packages suited to our current and the project needs. That is the secondary information that is stated over here. You should take care of that, how it is secondary information is drafted. And the third point is action, how the actions are taken, how the actions are suggested in that memorandum. Please order these packages from the supplier nominated in the proposal and arrange for their installation on our terminals as soon as possible. Could you organize and be involved in training each of our computer operators? That is a question also in the form of action to be implemented. Next, please see me sometimes on Wednesday to arrange a reduction in your regular responsibilities to give you time to complete the project. So that is also a suggested reference of meeting, also an action to be implemented in the future or to be taken in the future. So that's what it is, how it works. The next point is a request of memo. That is a request memo. Now, there are different types of memo as I stated here. This is a request memo. Again, you can see here it is the section heads from. It is Ravi, and he is operational manager from, and date. The main point is planning of work schedules of July and December. Now, that is the main point to be discussed in the memorandum. And the secondary information here is, it is a brief one. You can see how the conciseness, the brevity is maintained over here, and it talks about, work schedules for July to December are now being processed. Being prepared. Now, the third point, that is the second information described over here, and the third point is the action to be taken to help us plan this in a manner that suits all sections. Please let me have the holiday schedules of the employees in section by 24/4/2014. So here it is a we can say that it is a request, and here they ask. The language that is used over here is also very courteous, very polite, and very in a soothing manner to help us plan this in a manner that suits in all sections. That is a very polite and courteous language that is used over here, and this is the action to be implemented to be in future. And he gives the deadline that the schedule should reach by 24/4/2014 over here. The next point. Fine. I think these are the points to be kept in mind, dear friends, and I think that this would prove fruitful to you in a way in your further exploration of your studies, as well as in using the memorandum in the right manner. We are moving towards the next point, as the topic is assigned to me, is about the resolutions. Resolutions. Now, many times the students find it very difficult to talk about resolutions. They are again feeling a sense of alienment with this particular words or this particular terminology. What is resolutions? Many a times the students feel that resolutions are something about some very serious matters. Resolutions are to be found in very big companies or in very big industries, or it is something very much related to the legal advisory section, and so on and so forth. But actually speaking, resolutions are the decisions. They are just the decisions. We can say what are the resolutions are about. To be very honest enough, I'll just give a background of the resolutions, how the resolutions are about. People, as in the case of memos, resolution also vary from subject to subject, from topic to topic, and from situations to situations. The way resolutions are drafted depends on the topic or the incident or the event on which it has to be mentioned. Resolutions are the decisions. Actually, they are the decisions that has been taken after a mature discussions, analysis, and speculation, we can say, or even negotiations. In one form, or we can put in that way also. Now, if we talk about resolutions, it is a written statement or an expression or an opinion about an issue. It is an expression or opinion about an issue. It is a way to outline a subject to a problem. It is a way to outline. Outline means to figure out, to trace out the solution for a problem. So we can say solution comes first, and then comes the resolutions. Because to come to arrive at a solution, it requires a lot of speculation, a lot of analysis, a lot of thinking. That is to say, it requires a long time to deal with the matter over there. Next point, if I would like to say, is as I said earlier, we are coming to the point. They are the results, final results of discussions, writing, negotiations, and we can say that it is also addressing a specific problem. It is concentrating on a specific area or an issue. Resolutions are generally passed by the committee members or by of a particular organization or an institution, and it represents a great deal of debate and compromise. They are the tangible results that requires more hours, if not days. That means it more hours of analyzing, more hours of thinking, more hours of speculating the matters, debating over the matters, and then we come to the conclusion. That's what it is. Hence, the practicing or practice of drafting resolution requires proper structure and wording. As I said earlier, in commerce or in any language, when you draft resolutions or memorandum or any even letter, that is the structure, the competency of the competency in the area of language is an essential, or rather it is a must for the person to draft over there. Now, what are the aims of drafting a resolutions? That I'll talk about why the resolutions are drafted, or what are the purposes to be kept in mind when we draft a resolution. That we'll talk about is to give a position to the concluded decision. Very important point. Resolutions means it. Resolution gives a status. Resolution gives a position, a status to the concluded decisions. Whatever meetings have been conducted and whatever deliberations had been taken place in the meetings, whatever negotiations, debate, or arguments have taken place in the debate, finally it comes to a decision. Finally it comes to a conclusion, and that conclusions are placed as resolutions. That the concluded decisions are termed as resolutions. That is the decisions finds a legal place. The status is the decisions taken find a legal status in the resolution, in the form of resolution. We can say that. Then resolution imparts recommendations about the decision. What does the resolution perform? What does the resolution how does the resolution function? We can say that it imparts, it gives the recommendations about the decision. What are the recommendations taken in the decision that has been imparted by the resolutions? It is a way of expressing an opinion. That is to say, resolutions are the concluded decisions, and it is also equally an opinion that is unanimously approved or accepted in the meeting or in the session, and it emphasizes on specific group, maybe government bodies, maybe corporate bodies, etc. And finally, it resolutions are made so that the actions can be taken, or so that the actions can be implemented, or so that the immediate prompt what we can say in the form of materializing the ideas or the conclusion can take place. So that is